Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you a video about the liver and the kidneys and understanding the elimination pathways in our body and why you may be experiencing symptoms as a result of liver toxicity or blockages in our elimination pathways. So I share a lot of analogies with my clients when I explain in detail about how the elimination pathways work and how they might become overburdened. And a lot of people have heard some of these analogies and have been asking me to share them here, to explain them a bit better. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm just going to use a lot of analogies to really explain how our body works, and I hope that this maybe brings light to you guys as to why you might perhaps be experiencing the symptoms that you are. So what people don't realize is actually how interconnected our body actually is, and a lot of the symptoms you're experiencing are a result of a much deeper rooted issue. So I guess I'll start with talking about the main elimination pathways. So our body has 5 main, what we call emunctories, aka elimination pathways. So our 5 emunctories start with our primary, so our most used emunctories, and that is our liver, kidneys, and lungs. In particular, the liver detoxifies through our stool, the kidneys via our urine, and the lungs every time we breathe out carbon dioxide. That's why deep breathing is so important. The secondary and the remaining 2 emunctories are our skin and then our mucous membranes. So our skin detoxifies through sweat, and then mucous membranes, say you have a runny nose from a cold or a flu, your body's trying to push out the virus, somehow it'll push it out through your sinuses, and that's how that emunctory can be used. Or for females, you might notice excess vaginal discharge. That's also a mucous membrane emunctory. So if everything's working really well in the body, then all of this will be smooth running and you will essentially be symptom-free, or what we call homeostatic, in a homeostatic state or in homeostasis. If your emunctories are working, if toxins are able to exit as quickly as they're coming in, you don't build up toxicity, so you are in a state of good health and everything's functioning in balance. The problem is that most of us are not in balance or in that homeostatic state because of this toxic world that we live in. Sorry, my hair is so frizzy, it's really hot here today. So we are bombarded with toxins everywhere we turn, right? It's not just our horrible food supply, although that's a huge factor. Over many, many years, most of us have eaten food colorings and canola oils and modified foods and starches and things sprayed with pesticides and glyphosate, and we're eating tons of sugar and drinking alcohol, and a lot of us smoke. On top of that, we are highly, highly, highly stressed. We are burning scented candles, which are highly toxic and Febreze, and we've got scented hair care products, and we've got cling-free sheets and detergents and shampoos and makeup. All of these are laden with heavy metals and really toxic chemicals and PCBs and phthalates, or the list goes on. So not just what we're eating and putting on our body and breathing in our air, it's also our environment. We live in a very polluted world with so many different gases that you're breathing in, and chemicals and toxins, and even the furniture we're sitting on or the paint on our walls are off-gassing chemicals. Everywhere we turn, there are thousands and thousands of chemicals that are entering into our system. So naturally, as you can imagine, our emunctories become what we call overburdened. And anyone who tells you, oh, my emunctories, no way, they're overburdened, they're fine, they don't understand how our bodies work. So I'm going to share a couple analogies to hopefully help you or someone else watching this understand a little bit more about the system. The moment that your emunctories become overburdened is the moment where you become out of homeostasis and now begin to experience symptoms. And that is your body essentially telling you something's not right, let's fix it before it gets worse. So I'm going to give you an analogy, and this analogy I give to all my clients and everyone, and it's the best one I could come up with to explain how the system becomes toxic. So the emunctories that would become overburdened first are the ones that are used the most often, so our primary emunctories. Your lungs would become overburdened if you smoke, if you breathe in a secondhand smoke, or if you have very toxic air in your home that's full of, scents and fragrances. All of that is damaging your lungs. If you have asthma, things like that. Your kidneys become overburdened with not enough water, drinking or consuming things that have glyphosate or heavy metals, having really acidic foods, a diet too high in protein, and the list goes on. And then our liver becomes overburdened from everything else. So what starts to happen, and this is the analogy, your body becomes really backed up where it's flooding with toxins. So if you picture a bathtub and say the tap is broken, so water's pouring into the tub really quickly and your water levels are rising. If you're stressed that your tub is going to overflow and you need to stop that from happening, all you have to do is unplug the drain, the water will flow out and crisis averted. So even if it's pouring in, even if the water's pouring in from the broken tap, it's still pouring out through the drain, so at least you're not going to have a flood. Now, what happens if you go and unplug the drain, but nothing starts to drain because it's plugged with hair and gunk and all that nasty stuff that tends to be in a shower drain or a bath drain? The water will be trickling out of the drain, but pouring in from the tap, so the water level will still continue to rise. Eventually it'll overflow, your bathroom will be covered in water, it'll leak into the ceiling, into the basement, through the ceiling, you'll have water damage on the ceiling, you'll have mold developing, and you'll have a host of issues now on your hands that is really going to be a lot of work to fix. This is how our body works. The bathtub is our body. The water pouring in are toxins that are coming into our system daily, or that are being produced internally daily, which happens as well. And then the drain are our emunctories. If the drain's not clogged, if it's draining well, it doesn't matter if a ton of toxins are coming in because our body's pushing it out. But the moment that our emunctories become overburdened, that's the moment where you start to have that flood. More toxins are coming in than can exit, and eventually it literally will have to seep out through a different emunctory or pathway, and that's when symptoms arise. So how do these organs become blocked? Again, from stress, from bad diet, certain medications, lots of antibiotics. Most drugs you read, their side effects are liver damage. So that kind of makes you think a little bit there. If you've been on a lot of medications or antibiotics or anything, birth control, and the list goes on. So you're living in a modernized world today. If you live in a world today, there's like a 99.9% chance your emunctories are going to be overburdened. Now, if you go get a liver test or an ultrasound done, there is no test or ultrasound or x-ray or anything that can tell you how your liver can detoxify. It can show you the function of your liver. Are you producing enzymes? Is your liver failing? But it cannot show you on a scale of 1 to 100 how well is your liver draining. It's impossible. So this is why a lot of people will go to the doctors. They're told that their liver functions fine when in fact their emunctories are overburdened and they need support. And so when the liver, and obviously the kidneys work with that, so if the liver is overburdened, so are the kidneys. When they become overburdened, your body has to then turn to another emunctory to try and get rid of some of the toxicity that's pouring in. Just like as a bathtub fills up, if you don't want it to pour onto the floor, you're gonna grab a bucket and start taking water with your bucket and dumping it in your toilet or your bathroom sink as another emunctory to try to get it out that way before it overflows. So your body's doing the same thing internally. If toxins are rising and it's not exiting quickly enough through liver, kidneys, and your lungs, which are your primary pathways, it will go to secondary pathways, like the skin. So your body will push toxicity out through the skin. You'll develop acne, eczema, perhaps psoriasis, or another skin condition, as your body's using that as an emunctory, just like you take the bucket, scoop out water from the tub, and dump it down the sink. If your skin isn't getting enough toxicity out, which it won't, it's a poor emunctory, it's not meant to handle a lot of toxins, your body will then try your mucous membrane. So you might have postnasal drip, sinus issues, runny nose, congestion, excess vaginal discharge as your body tries to use those emunctories to get some toxicity out. Some people will notice, chronic cough or asthma or any sort of respiratory or bronchial issue as your body uses your lungs as an emunctory, more than it should. So your body will compensate. It will try to get toxins out. This is very often why people with skin conditions have liver and kidney toxicity, or people with asthma. Your lungs aren't working, your liver and your kidneys aren't working. You need to get those working. So once you get symptoms, That's because there's more toxicity coming in than can exit, and so it's literally seeping out of you. But not all of it gets out. So this is kind of bringing me to the next analogy. Your body will try to get rid of what it can. Whatever it can't get rid of, it will store. So I just want to make this very brief. Whatever it can't get rid of, it's going to remove from the bloodstream because it'll pass through your vital organs and cause damage, and it will store it in your cells. That way it's out of circulation. The problem is now you're getting toxins and heavy metals and every other kind of toxin you can think of stored in your cells. So it's staying in your body, and your toxicity levels are rising and rising and rising. So your cells are not functioning, they're not regenerating or replicating. Your body is toxic and inflamed, and it's leading to deeper and deeper and deeper rooted issues. So when you initially get that acne or that eczema or a runny nose or asthma symptoms or anything else, don't ignore it, because if you do, toxicity is building up and building up. And the more you leave it, the more years you just use steroids to suppress or take antibiotics to suppress the acne, the more toxicity is building up in your cells because you've done nothing to get the liver and kidneys working. And the more that it builds up, the deeper rooted issues you'll have, like metabolic conditions, diabetes, and so many other more serious health issues, including cancer and everything else. So once you have very toxic cells, that's when the serious diseases come about, autoimmune, all kinds of things. So the final analogy, picture a 5-lane highway. Each lane represents an emunctory, so the liver, the kidneys, etc. If all of those lanes on the highway are open, picture a very busy freeway, all the traffic can go down very quickly and smoothly, no issues. But what happens if there's a car accident, say in the first 2 lanes, the liver and the kidneys? Those lanes then get blocked off, and now all of that traffic has to congest onto 3 lanes. So naturally, the traffic is going to become slower because there's more people on just 3 lanes of the freeway rather than dispersed over the 5 lanes. So in our body, if our liver and kidneys get blocked, you now just have the lungs, the skin, and the mucous membranes left as lanes on your highway. So all the toxins have to go seep through those 3 lanes. What if the lungs get overburdened as well, which they obviously will because we have such toxic air in our world and in our homes? So if that emunctory is closed, or that lane on the highway is closed too, all that traffic is congesting onto 2 lanes. Now, what if even that 4th lane, maybe your skin is overburdened because of all your body using it heavily as an emunctory when it shouldn't be. And now that lane's closed and all the traffic's on 1 lane. I'm sure you can imagine traffic will be dead. You'll be sitting there for hours on the highway, not moving at all because there's too much congestion. So your body becomes congested, nothing can flow through. That is exactly how our system works, just like the highway. Until you open up the lanes on the highway again, clear the traffic and all the damage, and let cars start driving through again, aka toxins, you're going to have a congested system. And if your system is congested, disease forms. It's that simple. Your vital force goes down, and you start to feel fatigued and exhausted, and disease can start to form, cysts can develop, and every other health issue you can think of can start to form. So these are the analogies that I wanted to share with you. The liver, the kidneys, the lungs, the rest of your emunctories are the key to reversing any conditions that you might be experiencing and getting your vital force back and rebalancing your body, getting back into homeostasis. If toxins are coming in, as long as your body can eliminate them, you are fine. So this is why it's so important to not just drain your liver and kidneys and emunctories and get your health back, but to maintain that with seasonal cleanses. All right, so hopefully now that you understand a little bit about how toxins build up in our body and why that leads to disease and why your body starts to seem like it's falling apart, your autoimmune's developing, you have crazy hives, you have skin rashes, flare-ups, all kinds of things. It's because your cells are so toxic, your immune system can't function, everything starts to become bogged down, out of balance, out of whack. And until you pull the toxicity out and eliminate it through the proper channels, you're going to continuously be inflamed and toxic and all of that. So if you want to learn how to drain your liver and kidneys, you can head to holisticspring.org. I have 2 starting protocols that will begin to drain your cells and your liver and kidneys and get you on that path. So there's lots of resources on that membership platform to take advantage of, or find a practitioner that you can work with to help you with this drainage. Not everyone does it, but it is a protocol or protocols that I suggest getting on and finding a practitioner who does, you know, this drainage therapy for the emunctories, because in order to reestablish that homeostasis, this has to happen. You can't leave really harmful and damaging toxins like glyphosate and heavy metals and all kinds of PCBs and plastics and everything that you're exposed to on a daily basis in your system, because it's going to elevate your toxicity levels and continue to damage and destroy your cells and change your DNA and lead to premature aging and a host of other issues. This toxicity needs to come out, and nobody talks about it. You hear people saying you need to cleanse or detox, and that's true, but they don't tell you how to genuinely do it properly. Sure, you want to clean out your colon. Sure, you want to kind of purify the blood a little bit, but what about what's been stored over all these years in your cells? Because again, your body can't leave toxins in the blood, or they'll pass through your heart and your brain and cause damage and inflammation to those organs. So as a protective mechanism, it just dumps it into cells, into your joints. If you have rheumatoid arthritis, there's usually heavy metals. If you have gout, there's uric acids, which are acidic toxins that should have been eliminated through the kidneys, but weren't. So your body takes toxins, it's storing them in your joints, in your cells, and everywhere else. And then what? It just sits there, right? And if it's just sitting there, it doesn't matter how many celery juices you drink or how many colon cleanses you do or enemas you do, you're not getting that cellular toxicity out. So that's the key, getting the cellular toxicity out, but also unclogging that bathtub drain. Just like you'd pour a solution down your drain to unclog it, it's the same idea. You need to unclog, pour the solutions, the right remedies into the body to unclog all of the emunctories, the lungs, the skin, the respiratory system, your mucous membranes, and of course the liver and the kidneys. So if you have any more questions on this topic, you can get all the answers from me on holisticspring.org. There's a forum where you get 24/7 support from me. You get to take part on live videos every month with me and access protocols and all kinds of things over there. So I'd love for you to join. I hope that you enjoyed this content, and I will talk to you soon.